I think as if I was a United fan, I would be happy that someone looks like they're wanting to fight for the badge again. I think that's
Yeah.
what the most appealing part about the player is that the performances have been good, but I just think he's trying to set a foundation for everybody else, and I can appreciate anybody trying to lead by example in a United shirt because you haven't really seen
I
that
haven't
in a
had that.
while.
Yeah. The United Amorim made like a leadership group going into the year. He was not one of the players that was involved in that. So I think that kind of speaks volumes to his leadership on the field. Is he's not being told to be a leader by anyone. He is just going out and showing that he is a leader.
That's what
That's
he
why I think
does.
he's captain material. Yeah. He just does the right things. But honestly, that competitive spirit and that nature that you're talking about, I think has been shown so far this season. Obviously, the last 5 games have been more positive than the early going in the season. So we've had a very up and down season. So we might as well do a check in on United. I talk about United every week and I do my stuff. So I'm going to let you guys start this conversation of what you thought of United through 11 matches in the league. And then I can jump in at some point.
It's real quick. I mean, because I don't have too much, I'll kind of give you guys a little more freedom to go into it. But I thought Grimsby was obviously, I'm sure, is the lowest low, but I thought that was where's the season going to go? Is it just going to continue as it did last year, or is there actually going to be a response? And maybe it didn't come right away, but I mean, it feels like it's been a lot more than a quarter of the way through the season. I feel like we've already had a year's worth of storylines with United, but definitely surprised with the turnaround from there.
I said this to Grant, I think late last week, that I feel like if you can get through the first 30 minutes of playing United, then you're pretty much in a good spot. The next 30 minutes, it's just kind of a back and forth. And then the last half hour, you guys just kind of fall off because the structure in midfield just goes to shit. So I think that's kind of the game plan, is just kind of survive the first 30, particularly of United, see what you can kind of get in that back and forth in the 30, and then just know you have them in the last 30 minutes of a match. Even saying that, I still think the manager has made some slight improvements to what he's trying to do, and you're getting more results. But the problem has never been how you play the good teams, and I think that's the storyline of the season. You've played the good teams, except City, particularly well. And you've struggled against the bad teams, which is what you need to pick up points from, because those are the teams that you get more of throughout a 38-game schedule, not the big 6.
Yeah. Mila?
My turn. We got to look at the predictions because you sent them over in the text today. And I'll just say you guys are pretty much where I thought you'd be at around now. You're 1 win off of 3rd place. I had you guys in 4th. It was just big ifs. And I think they've checked all the boxes in terms of those big ifs. And that was staying with the manager, the players backing him, and then also, like Fukuno was talking about with the Ligt, just players playing for the badge again, less for themselves. And I think you've seen that just throughout the squad. I know you brought in Cunha. We've talked about his heart, and Mbuemo's clearly got it. The energy's there every game. Casemiro looks dedicated. He clearly worked on his physicality, his shape to get back to fitness. So I think you guys are just more locked in. And it's about consistency with you guys. We've talked about it, the 4 of us. We've started to see a little bit of consistency, but if you can keep it going throughout the season, then I'd be a little more surprised. But it looks like you guys are going in the right direction right now.
Yeah. I mean, literally, if we're just jumping back to the last international break, like I was saying, I think it was like we're 1 win away or 1 loss away from everything being blown to just smithereens, everything in the toilet. Where do United go from here? The lows continue to get lower. And now we're looking at it in a positive spin. I've been pretty consistent on not getting too high or too low on any point of the season, just because I don't think that's how this season's going to go. We have them in 5th in our predictions, I think, me and Mila. And that was on the idea that I think they are Not going to have a similar year to Chelsea because Chelsea were a better side last year. But that construct, the idea that there's going to be very, very highs, like they're going to go on 3-4 game win streaks, but there's going to be lows too where they lose to a team like Wolves. Like that will happen this season. I'm almost sure of it.
We lost to Wolves at home under Poch, so good call, Dylan. I genuinely do think, like I said it early on last year before everything went to shit, that it was going to be a Potter year for you guys. Like I just kind of called it, mainly because I'm a hater, but like I'm glad I'm glad I got that right. But to your point, Dylan, it will be a roller coaster. I do agree with you. I still think we're a roller coaster, right? So this first year, you're going to see the flashes, and if you're starting to see a light at the end of that tunnel, that's when you understand that you're going somewhere, when you start to see progress. Personally, I'm of the opinion that it's just the quality that's been brought in. I do think the structure still has its flaws. So I think, again, to your point, that's what's going to cause inconsistency, right? Over time, maybe it works itself out. I still do think I'm going to stand strong on my prediction. But yeah, definitely not looking good right now.
It's an interesting thing. I think that United just finally found a system for the first time under Amorim. Does that make any sense? Like the idea that they have something to stand on now. I feel like last season they didn't have anything to stand on. And now they have a system and a structure where we're looking at it and we're going, okay, like we know what this is. We know that they will give you plan A, which will work great. It's when it goes to plan B that it hasn't been good. And that might be down to both him, Amorim, needing to be more tactically flexible, but also the personnel. Like your plan A has Casemiro for 60, and then when Casemiro has come off in games, look, like Ugarte should be the nailed-on like starter in this team. He's the guy that knows Amorim, and he doesn't play well in any match that he comes on in, and that sucks.
That's your guy, Facundo. How's that happened?
Yeah, I just think he's found life difficult in this league, but I mean, it's hard to move here with higher expectations, go to a team that performs like shit for so long, and then feel like you can find any sort of like it's hard. It's all about having confidence as a player, and I just don't think he has it right now, which is disappointing for the national team. But yeah, I also think the way he played at Sporting is still a bit different to how he's played here. I honestly think he's figured out how to surround Bruno and Casemiro, and I think that's what deserves credit, is that he's been able to, at least for 60 minutes, put a structure around them that has led to a little bit more success. But I still think that's probably the weakness in the team, and what needs to be addressed is finding a way to kind of defend better after 60 minutes, because it doesn't look the same after.
You might also be able to call into question like being not necessarily tactically flexible, Dylan, but proactive during a game. I feel like that's the harder part in management. Like you can put together a game plan for a week, but as soon as you get punched in the face, okay, now what's my plan? And I test, like Facundo was saying, 30 minutes of hell, back and forth, and then you're on it. To your point, you brought up the table, the first half and the second half. Yeah. So what are those causes? And I think it's not just one issue, whether it's bad subs, whether it's personnel not being good enough, right? There's multiple reasons, but again, that's something
both.
I guess
it is both. It's like it's funny because I think the first team now it's less square pegs, round holes, but now it's shifted to the subs and the benches and him trying to do that. And to your point, like he's done a really good job of figuring out how to protect Casemiro and Bruno. He needs to now figure out how to do that with Menu and with Ugarte and with the guys coming off the bench. Because if you don't do that, United will have the trend of being very good in the early portions, the plan A, but then to the plan B, that's where you're going to lose and drop points. Like United should not have dropped points this week to Spurs. And I bet you Spurs are thinking the same thing. We shouldn't have dropped points to United. But that's honestly where both of these teams are at. We're not going to talk about Spurs because they're Spurs, but
I just think it's really hard to make the sub that you're asking for in the midfield when both the people coming in are not necessarily like for like, but kind of like for like Ugarte for Casemiro, kind of similar. Minu maybe not to the level of Bruno, but I still think that they're occupy kind of the same spaces and are the same deficiencies, like not super athletic, like not really runners. That's kind of what you need in those positions. So I feel like that's what ends up making it difficult.
Yeah, no, I think we've been talking about the analogy that if they can get the 97 Camry to January and they can find somebody that can be serviceable, then maybe United can go on to really make a push for Champions League. I don't think if they go into January and they don't do anything, I think that kind of says the state of where the club thinks the current squad's at, but also just the overall belief in the team. And I'd be very confused. All right, I'm tired of talking about United.